welcome to LOA Today. I'm Walt Thiessen. With me today is the woman who knows how to set personal boundaries, Alex Standy. This is your daily dose of happy. We are so happy you decided to join us today. And we were kind of anticipating that David Strickel was going to be joining us today, but he's got some personal stuff going on that really got in the way lately for him, so he can't make it. But standing in for him is Thai Alita coach Stacie Clenet, who hasn't been on in like, what, year and a half, something like that. It's been a while since we had you on the show. I can't remember what it was, but it was a while ago. I think, it's about that long.
I disappeared for a while too, going on to the, my husband hiked the Pacific Crest Trail. So I was his support vehicle in person. A phenomenal journey. We had a great 6 months on the road last April through October. And really life-changing. Taught me so much about myself, and I got to revel in the miracle of other people and how kind they are and how diverse we are as a humanity, and see just really neat folks show up in places I did not expect.
That's always a life lifter. When you get that kind of experience, it just lifts you up. Yeah,
it really did. Coming back home was really rough. I was like, what am I going to do with myself now?
Yeah, it's kind of hard to top that one, isn't it? I mean, you've just been basically doing a complete life-changing experience, and then you come back home, it's like, oh,
laundry.
Here I am again.
We were on the road, so laundry was necessary, but it was a laundromat in some town that I didn't even know the name of.
Right.
Thank God for Google. Like, how do we ever survive?
I said that the other day. I'm using my GPS going, how did I make it this far? Like,
well, we did it with AAA maps and asking the local resident, how do you get from A to B? That's how we did it.
Trip books. I love those things.
Yeah, TripTics. Oh, yeah, those are great.
In my day, it was MapQuest.
MapQuest, sure.
Yep. Yeah, do it at home though, right?
Yeah, you can do it at home. Write it down if you don't have a printer, and hope for the best.
That's right.
Exactly.
Hope you don't use it.
Yep, I remember doing that too.
And just like with the older versions, if you had written something down wrong or you misinterpreted something, all of a sudden you're in the middle of nowhere and like, okay, that wasn't what I thought was going to be here. Where do I go next? And then you talk to the local and says, well, you just take the road down there to Route 63 and take a left and go down to the last stop sign, then hang a right and you'll be right there. And you get down Route 63 and you realize you don't know which one is the last stop sign.
Right? Just keep going. If you pass it, go back.
That's right.
Well, and in the areas that we were traveling very often, up in Washington and Oregon, there's lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of trees.
Yeah, tons of them.
Trees don't have a cell signal.
This is true.
They're not like the trees in LA here where they have cell signals, right? So it was, okay, I got to rely on people's directions. And like you said, I remember trying to absorb as much as possible. Like, okay, can you talk slower? Like willing them to talk slower so I could mentally record everything that they were saying.
I feel like our brains don't work like that anymore. It's so weird. Like, so I was getting directions to go to one doctor's office to another, and I had to download the map to the hospital because it was too much. I was like, what? Right? What? Up? Elevator? No, I'm done.
It is interesting how we've rewired our brains to I don't want to say lazier, but it's almost it's so convenient.
No, it's true. We can't even remember phone numbers anymore.
Yeah.
Well, I can't. I can't speak for the rest of the population, but I remember them. I can tell you what my phone number is when I was growing up. I mean, I can tell you almost all my phone numbers throughout.
What's my phone number now?
Well, I don't know your phone number. I remember my phone number.
Exactly. I remember my old phone numbers. I'm talking about, do I know yours by heart?
Oh, I see.
Yeah, I know. I made a real effort to, memorize. Like, obviously, I know my daughter's phone number, my husband's number, but I thought, I should probably know a couple other ones by heart just in case something happened.
Right. Always memorize your in case of emergencies.
Exactly.
But even I'm thinking back, I never knew anybody's number when I was growing up either.
No?
Oh, I did.
Nothing ever changed there as far as I was concerned. Maybe, a couple of really close friends because I would call them all the time, but that was about it. Most people I didn't know. I mean, I can still remember my uncle's phone number.
Yep.
Because because he still has it. But yeah, I mean, yeah, there just aren't that many numbers. One thing I can say though, Stacie, you were talking about how the trees don't really have any way to communicate. I've just been reading a really interesting book that was handed to me by my sister for Christmas.
Uh-huh.
Secret Life of Plants. Excuse me, Secret Life of Plants. Have you read that one? Yeah, you're shaking your head up and down.
Oh yeah, so I'm a clinical herbalist on top of doing Thai and all kinds of other things. Pretty much required reading. Like you want to know a lot about the plants and the mysteries of how they communicate. And I'm delighted. We've had enough rain here in LA that there's mushrooms around. I'm like, oh my God, look at the mushrooms.
Yeah. But it really is remarkable. I mean, now this is a book written in the 1980s, I believe.
Yep.
But it's really remarkable what had been discovered in the 20 years leading up to that book's publication, 30 years or so, regarding how, not just how plants communicate with each other, but how they interact with humans in ways that most of us even now don't even realize.
Yeah.
And we're actually at a point now where there's a lot more awareness about how interconnected everybody is and everything is. But even with that, I mean, I'm reading the first chapter of the book and my eyes are open like, oh my goodness.
My houseplants are listening.
Yes. Well, I mean, they're talking about literally how if for instance, you take care of a plant, the plant will not only respond to what's going on in your life, but it'll do so from 500 miles away.
What?
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you go on vacation, your plants are being house sat and they know how you're feeling.
They know exactly how you're feeling.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And great.
They're happy if you're having a good time.
Yeah. Yeah. Or if you're having a rough time, then they go into trauma if you're having a rough time.
So
that might be why my plants are dying.
Yeah. Oh wow, that's a good point. It's not your house's fault when your plants die.
I'm like, I'm watering them. What's the problem? It's me. I'm the drama.
Just reassure them that you're okay. That's all.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to.
No kidding. That was something I was really very aware of. Again, back in those forest treed areas in Oregon and Washington, where it's a green zone because you're in so many trees. But to feel that energy of connection between not only those trees, but all the other stuff that's at the forest floor, and how you get this opportunity to walk into literally this magnificent garden and to become a part of that. And they don't, it's not like, oh, stop here. What's the password? Forest just lets you in and it just kind of envelops you, and you can allow yourself to be absorbed by that and with that as much as possible. And that was so much fun. So much fun.
I'm looking forward to the next time that I do go into a forested area or a heavily natured area, because I mean, where I live, we have nature around us, but no, it's basically suburban / rural. So there's also a lot of human presence. But the area you're talking about, it's out in the middle of nowhere. So basically, all you have is the forest. All you have is the trees. There's nothing else going on around there. There might be a deserted highway. That's about it. So it's an entirely different experience. And I'm looking forward to the next time I'm in a situation like that, because I want to now experience that with the knowledge of what I'm picking up from reading this book.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, like one of the things I just read about, and apparently there were people both here in the U.S. and in the Soviet Union at the time, I think in other places, that were experimenting with this stuff. And one of the things that they would do is they would stage a murder of a plant. they would
a murder.
Yeah, they would or a murder, or in some ways traumatize a plant.
Traumatize,
They would have one person selected to traumatize the plant, and they would do it in the presence of another plant.
That's messed up, man.
and then later on, they would parade that person with a bunch of other people past the plant, and then detect how the plant was responding. And the other people, no response. And then the murderer would come by, and the readings would go off the chart.
You killed my brother.
The hatchet welder.
Right.
The trees must have hated George Washington then.
Oh my goodness. Oh,
Rumors got around, man.
I'm surprised the
Sorry.
cherry blossoms came back to DC after that. I mean, really, that was just quite a gift on their part. But
Yeah, some of my favorite campsites were in those places where I, drove. I have a little trailer. It's less than 18 feet long. So pull it with my truck into these spaces where the trees are just everywhere around you. And I would have the best night's sleep. Always felt super safe. Never feared what was in the forest. It was like I felt very protected and cared for. And so it's just like, oh, okay, good night. Oh, wake up the next morning and it's just glorious to be in that space. Though I walk daily in my neighborhood and I adore every tree and plant that I walk by. There's this cool succulents and desert flowers that bloom, and then other people have more manicured gardens. And so I'm just a plant whore.
Nice.
I love them all.
So now you read the book that I'm referring to, the Secret Life of Plants. You read that a while ago. So
it's been a while.
Since you read that one, has that colored your experience of nature?
That's a good question. I had always felt connected to the trees, the plants. Even when I was a young girl, I had friends that lived at the very longest end of the street that I lived on. So if I had to go home after dark, and I was very perceptive, I always felt like there was something watching me. I would walk in the middle of the street and almost run home because I could just feel this energy. So I knew that there was more out there than what I could perceive with our typical five senses.
Right.
And then herbalism just kind of fell into my lap when my daughter was younger. And so I started using those techniques, and we always loved to garden. I sent her up a really cool little greenhouse when she was like 6. That was her present. She'd go out there for hours diddling around with the dirt and the rocks and little seedlings we had planted for her. So that was very much a part of my life and her life as she was growing up. And it seems like it is it's a beyond lifetime learning experience. Like I can't even learn enough about the trees and the medicinal properties of a single plant to tell you. Then it just goes on and on and on and on. So
what a great gift to a 6-year-old, by the way.
Yeah, she loved that. She still talks about it.
I'm sure.
Of course, now she's getting her PhD in ranch land sustainability. So
okay.
It all worked out.
We plant the seeds early. But yeah, I think that I had a larger respect for plant life and vegetation and medicinal herbs and trees after reading that book, for sure. Because then it was unveiled that there's a lot more under the surface that we weren't aware of.
Yeah. And we are seeing more and more books and films that are reinforcing that.
There's one on mushrooms that's fascinating.
Fantastic Fungi.
Yes. What an amazing film that is.
Yeah.
I could watch that on repeat because it's just so amazing, that world. It seems so alien.
Have you seen that one, Alex?
No.
Oh, gotta see that one. If for no other reason, see it for the cinematography.
Yes.
Okay.
Really well done. Beautiful. The CGI will stun you.
Yes.
CGI is just absolutely beautifully integrated. None of it feels fake. It all feels like, oh, we're just seeing another way of looking at the world.
Yeah.
They did a fantastic job with that.
What's it on?
Yeah. Is it Netflix, I think?
It used to be on Netflix. I don't know.
Maybe it's not anymore. You're right. It was on Netflix at one point, but I'm not sure if it still is. But heck, Alex, you subscribe to everything, so you just try them all.
Google it, it'll come up.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. I'm definitely looking forward to the next time I'm out in a natural setting, because I know I'm going to be thinking about it differently. I mean, I've always had some kind of I guess I'd call it a sixth sense about being out in nature.
Mm-hmm.
This is definitely going to, at the very least, enhance it.
Oh yeah. Oh
At the
yeah.
very least. Yeah. Because now that I have a much better understanding of the kind of communication that goes on, not just between plants that are near each other, but plants that are like, halfway around the world,
Mm-hmm.
I think to myself, oh my goodness.
Now you know you're never alone.
You're never alone. Well, not only that, the evidence that these researchers have uncovered over the years indicate that anytime that we as individual humans are kind toward plants, or warm feeling or loving feeling or whatever toward plants, the plants reward it 10 times over.
Mm-hmm.
That's real security. That's as close to what we often call unconditional love, which is actually two ways of saying the same thing, but as we're ever going to get, because instantly you put it out there and you get it back.
Mm-hmm.
No delays. Now it's just a question of, what's that?
You have to be very attuned to that subtle.
Well, that's it. That's the one thing. You have to be aware of it now. But with the knowledge, I think I am going to be aware of it, because I've always had that sense. I mean, you talked about running home because you felt like they were in the middle of the street because you figured there was something out there. I recall one time early in my marriage with Louise, we went to Barbados, and we were in the downtown area near where the ships come in, where the cruise ships come in, of the main town there, Bridgetown, I think it is. And there's a little park that runs along the main street going down to the pier, and we were going to take a walk through the park, and I just stopped before we entered the park, and she said, "What is it?" I said, "I don't know, but it feels wrong. It feels like this does not feel like the right place for us to go." And so we didn't go there. We honored the feeling and didn't go there. And then 2 minutes later, we met a taxi driver who ended up becoming our tour guide, and we saw the rest of the island through his eyes. So that may have been what it was. It may have been the universe saying, "Okay, over here is your really cool thing to have happen." But I don't know. I mean, was I responding to something going on in the park? I don't know.
Well, also, you don't want to wander off the reservation, because things happen in Barbados. Let me tell you, I'm half Asian. I
know. Yeah. So maybe a little bit both.
Stay on the resort.
Yeah. Stay on the resort. I know. Yeah.
I didn't know you were half Bayesian.
I am. My father's Bayesian. Yep.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool.
We don't acknowledge him.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. But even so, I would have thought, I mean, how long have you and I been doing a show together? And this is the
forever.
Come up? Yeah. So.
Yeah, my dad's Bayesian. My mom is Jamaican and Native American.
Wow, what a combination.
I know, right?
Yeah. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Yeah. I love
Very
that.
fun.
And I was just realizing, Alex, I didn't get a chance to ask you, how were your holidays?
Great. They were great.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah, I got spoiled so bad. I got a new Chromebook.
Very nice.
Upgrade.
Ooh, there you go.
Yeah, she's shiny. She's shiny. We had my stepkid here. We were gonna go to the movies, but it was bitter cold, so we stayed in. We did a fire. It was great. We had a good time.
Excellent.
And then New Year's, what did I do? I worked Christmas and New Year's, but that's okay because it's time and a half. And then I didn't have to do any of the important hours. So yeah, and then New Year's we just watched the ball drop and went to bed.
There you go. All right.
What about you guys? How was your holidays?
Mine was quiet. Mine was really, really quiet.
Mm-hmm.
Mine was as quiet as it has ever been.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had lots of food, lots of family, more food, more family, more food. More food.
The two main ingredients.
It was lovely. It wasn't that stressed out holiday feling, when you're
I feel like this year was not as stressful as every other year has been.
Yeah, it was more relaxed. And then I thought it was really interesting watching the ball drop in Times Square.
Which one did you watch?
I think I watched the CBS one, the one that was supposed to have Ryan Seacrest on it. He wasn't on it. Or if he was, it must have been much earlier because we didn't tune in until about 15 minutes till the
same.
But it was so subdued.
Yeah.
And when the ball dropped, and you expect more hoopla.
It was like, man, 10 minutes later, the streets were clean. Everything was done.
And we're like, all right, it's New Year's, all right.
Confetti's all cleaned up. Like, it's crazy.
We all suffered so much PTSD through the last couple of years that everybody's like, oh, here comes another year.
Like, oh, it's over.
Here's another year. I wonder what's going to happen this year.
Yeah, somebody on Facebook was like, listen, 2023, just come in quietly. Don't touch anything. Leave it the way it is.
I like that. Don't touch anything. Don't look at anyone. Single file.
Do you get the sense there's been a little trauma going on around here or something?
I don't know, because I had a great 2022. I don't know what everyone's complaining about. Like,
I did too. I think the whole COVID thing still is, it's rambling around.
Still? We're still on it?
Still knocking people down, and there's still some fear mongering around the whole COVID thing. I think that really did a number on pretty much every person who had to sit through quarantine. I mean, the whole world was locked down. So not knowing, and of course, in any spiritual practice, the finding comfort with the not knowing is huge. Stepping into that void, stepping into the, oh my God, I've never done this before. Can I do this? Where can I find the faith, the trust, the guidance to actually get through something that I have no flipping clue what's going to happen next?
Yeah, that was me 3 months ago, actually.
Yeah,
that's exactly what that was. Yeah, and I was so grateful for everything that we've discussed here on the program, that I did going through the entire boot camp, that I picked up from all of our guests over the years. 1,870 odd episodes worth of information worked. It actually paid off. It helped me get through that in a way that I actually was telling somebody I just met recently about what happened, and they didn't believe me. They literally didn't believe me. Like, no, that's not possible to come through that way.
Yeah, it can be.
Girl, I've proved you wrong.
Well, actually, my response was more like, well, okay, if you insist. I can only tell you what I knew. That was about it. Yep. It's up to you how you decide you're going to interpret it. That's up to you.
Totally. It is all perspective. It really, really is. You get to choose, and that power of choosing, choose well. Choose your viewpoint, choose your friends, choose your support, choose your family.
I've really come to appreciate that this year. Connection, the connection to who are your closest people. That was huge for me. That was huge for me.
Just because you were married, just because Alex is a father, so you consider. I've right. You build your own. You build your family. You build your tribe. You build the people that are going to support you through hell and back.
It's especially cool that we've been talking about that on the show for the last few years, and now all of a sudden I had the opportunity to test how well I'd been doing.
Put it into practice. Yeah.
It was really great actually to know that I had done pretty good. I had some really good support that came through. But it also reinforced for me. I mean, I've had contact with listeners to the podcast or other people that I've met outside of these circles who don't necessarily have those kinds of social connections built up. And now that my advice to them is constantly the same. Just regardless of what's going on right now, work on building your social connections. It doesn't matter if things are going well, going badly, somewhere in between. Work on building social connections. They pay off so many different ways that you can't predict and understand right now. But when you need them, that's when you realize, wow, I'm really glad I put that time in.
Yeah. It's remarkable as humans. We are able to learn and implement so many fantastic tools to get us into a higher level of perception of what's really happening for us. But an event in life can take us down so quick.
Oh, yeah.
We forget. And the beauty of forgetting, like when you have a community, when you have a tribe to fall back on, is that they will always remind you. They will come up to you and say, "No, Walt, you are loved. You're a wonderful person. What can I do to support you?" And
That's how your cork bobs back up so quickly. That person I spoke to, I'm pretty sure did not have that kind of network. And in fact, I think this person actually used to have one and lost touch with theirs. And so right now the network was kind of small. So I think there was a little defensiveness going on there. But I mean, when you have that network and you experience any kind of situation that's challenging, polarity relates in some ways, boy, you come to realize just how valuable it is, just how useful it is.
Very much so. I've been going to the same gym since I got back in October, and it's a great gym. It's a great coach, but I've been like, I need more here. Like I want to step into the community. It's a small gym. It's privately owned. It's not one of these big box gyms with all kinds of goofy stuff going on. It's very structured. I need structure when it comes to a continual workout and regime for my well-being and my sustained longevity. I'm not trying to get into size 2 bathing suit. I don't care about any of that. I just want to be able to get out of bed in the morning.
Yeah, right.
Right. Walk downstairs, make coffee, walk my dog. So yesterday, or I think it was Monday, actually, I finally approached one of the women who I noticed we have good rapport working out. And she and I started talking, and I'm like, I need a walking partner. You want to come walk with me? And she's like, I'm having a hard time getting my steps in. I said, excellent. So we started walking, and it's pouring rain here, and we're walking, but it's a palpable shift. She's starting now to introduce me, because she's been at this gym for a lot longer than I, to other people.
Oh, you got like a whole little walking crew.
Yeah, it starts to kind of snowball, for lack of a better term, where you end up getting included. It's almost like your initiation into that. And I know a lot of the places that my daughter has chosen to live have been very rural, and the church is where you get community. And whether you believe or not believe, and that's what I told her, if you want to know the people in the town, go to the church, go to the service, go to the potlucks, go to the bake sales. Get to learn how those people are, what they think of, who does what, who you can call on when your car's broken down in the middle of the night. The local tow truck driver, or to get a good cake. Barbecue, right? Important things in life. But I think going back to COVID, quarantine, our community ties were severed. Some of us were so lucky to be able to foster more community and to develop community via online presence. Zoom, your podcast, Debbie G's and her, Spiritually Gone Wild, all kinds of other groups were popping up. And so I think it's super cool that we're still maintaining some of these really nice communities, but starting to open back up into, hey, I remember during COVID, people would hardly look at you. And if you, or God forbid you sneeze or cough, they were like, I gotta get away from you as fast as possible. So that finally has dropped, that fear that I'm going to sneeze on you and give you COVID. People are now starting to look you in the eye again. And you can smile, and they'll smile back. And for a while there, everybody was so freaked out. We were just all like, okay, push your shopping cart through the market, get in and out as quick as possible. Don't touch anything. Like you were saying, don't touch anything. So I'm really happy that face-to-face interactions are becoming more easeful.
I think
Less
it's a good description. And
because I'm a very social person, and not having somebody to interact with on a regular basis, I go a bit nuts.
I loved it. I was like, please, let's not show up. Let's all do Zoom. Let's all talk on the video chat. I love it. Let's all just stay home. As an introvert, I thrived. I thrived in the pandemic.
That's true. It was good for introverts. Did very well.
Yeah, we did, because this is how we love it.
Yeah.
So make it mandatory. That was fantastic.
Make it mandatory.
I
Like, you're
learned,
threatening me, telling me I don't have to go anywhere? Oh no.
I learned to appreciate it, and I learned to really enjoy the fact that our community, like our Taya community, was very thriving in 2021.
Yeah.
And we had tons of students go through the program, and a lot of them are international. So it was super cool that I was connecting with people in the UK and Australia and, China on a regular basis.
Yeah.
That was super cool. Getting to see their perspective, their points of view, and building a community where literally if I got on a plane and just flew randomly to certain cities, I'd have a place to stay.
Yeah, sure.
I'd be
Yeah.
like, hi, I'm here.
Right. No, it's true. It's true. And it has created a new wing, so to speak, to our social circles, having
Yes.
that virtual connection.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
In fact, actually, I was noticing when I went through my craziness the last few months, I was noticing most of my social circle was virtual, and that I
Yeah.
actually needed to do more to build the local one.
Mhm.
That
Mhm.
part was kind of missing. So I've actually been taking steps along that line to improve that.
Mhm.
But that virtual connection was huge for me. And I think anybody who has been experiencing that virtual opportunity, particularly since the pandemic started, realizes that. They may not have actually thought about it consciously, but on a cellular level, they know, like, yeah, that's big. That's really big.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and it's so interesting too, as humans, when we get into a life-changing situation, something that could be perceived as embarrassing or shameful, losing your
Mhm.
job,
Sure.
struggling with mental health, trying to understand that just for yourself, doing it alone is really not serving you. It
No, it's
doesn't
not.
serve anybody to isolate. Humans can't survive by themselves.
Mhm.
I need I need the guy who's gonna drive the truck to get the gas to the gas station so I can drive to the gas station. I
Right.
need the car mechanic to fix my car. I need the guys that work in the grocery store and the dudes that work in the fields and pick strawberries. Thank you. I need these people.
Mhm.
I couldn't survive and have the luxury of my phone, the luxury of this, if there weren't people willing to do that type of job, to
Right.
have those kind of ideas. And I
I
used to
think
say frequently to the students in Taya, and I'm sure I pissed some of them off.
yeah, but that's part of your
Yes,
job as a
yes.
coach. I mean, when
Yeah,
you're a coach, your job is not to
exactly.
be love and light all the time. I mean, that's not what a coach does, right?
Yes, but I would say, you are unique, but your problems aren't.
Mhm.
Yeah, that'll definitely
It's
piss some
kind of a
people
hard.
off. Wait a minute, those are
Yeah.
just I'm the only one in the world who's got that problem. What are you talking about?
Nope. After seeing, almost 200 people go through the Taya program, no,
Yeah.
our problems are not, they feel unique to us because we're creating that situation.
Mhm.
We're creating that, like adding those special spices to the blend, right? But
Mhm.
the basic problems are really the same across humanity. We
Which
struggle with
actually, I
work,
mean,
right?
to flip it around, I've actually found that to be comforting.
Really?
Well, yeah, that it wasn't just me.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah,
That
I too.
100 other people were going through something similar. The circumstances may have been different, but the basic thing was the same.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay, well, it's not so bad anymore.
You know what,
Oh,
like, goes with that and also happened to blossom during the pandemic was Facebook groups. People
oh
finding
yeah,
their community with whatever issues or things they're having going on. There's other people going through the same thing that you can communicate with
yeah.
and bounce ideas off of and all types of stuff. That was a great thing that happened.
Yeah, or just sit back and be a voyeur and read all the comments and not say,
Yeah, either way.
even just reading what other people are experiencing and realizing, oh golly gee, I'm not the only one going through this.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm forever grateful for our cool Facebook communities, and I still interact in all of them.
Me
Yeah,
too.
lurking actually became acceptable. That was what was really interesting about that. That
Yeah.
used to be something that was you look down the end of your nose at a lurker, but now it's like, oh, good, you've been lurking. Good, come on in.
I see you there in the shadows. Don't be.
Yeah. So even that kind of perception has been changing.
Mhm.
mentioned perceptions before, Stacie. That's been a watchword here on this show for like the last year and a half, because
Yeah.
perceptions and perspectives. I'm really appreciating, especially in the last 10 months or so. I'm really appreciating perspectives because we've been having a lot of guests on.
Mhm.
And while that has kind of disrupted the old routine of where it was me and a co-host and maybe an occasional guest, it's also given me what I had before multiplied by 100, because
Right.
you get all those different perspectives, and some of which I don't even agree with. Some of which, I mean, I kind of think, oh, you're a little bit crazy there. I'm not going to say it on the program, but you're a little bit crazy. But I learned from them.
Exactly.
Even the ones that I thought were a little bit wacky, by the end of the show, like, oh, okay, there's actually something there I can latch on to. Like, I can agree with
Mhm.
that part. I can feel good about that part. And in so doing, I can also learn to appreciate that perspective that I didn't appreciate at the beginning of the show quite so much.
Right.
There is a commercial that describes perspective so eloquently, but it's like low key. You don't even know it's happening until I just watch it and I think of Walt in my ear. So I don't know if you've seen the commercial. It's for Chewy. It's a subscription box for dogs.
Yeah.
And there's this Saint Bernard, and he's talking to a littler dog, and he's like, "Oh, the peanut butter box is here," and he's like, "It's not the peanut butter box. It's the box our medicine comes in that our mom puts the peanut butter in, and that's the medicine box." And he's like, "The peanut butter box is here." That's all he cares about. And I'm like, that's perspective.
It is. I know that commercial too.
That's so funny. No, I love that.
Oh man. Every time I see that commercial, I think of Walt.
I love the way you sung the commercial. That was great.
The voice is hilarious. Gets me every time. Peanut butter box is here.
Peanut butter box.
Oh man.
Anytime you add voices to animals, it just
Right.
I love it. I'm sorry. I'll watch that for hours on Instagram.
Saint Bernard with an Australian accent. Okay.
Oh, that's good. Personifying our animals. Oh my god. It is fun if you try. I try to imagine from time to time, different dogs. Like we go to a dog park, so we have tried to decide if they were human, what kind of
What's
person
their
would they be?
personality?
Sure.
I do that all the time.
Right? It's so much fun.
Well, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, writing in the voice of Sherlock Holmes, once observed he was able to solve a case because he realized that owners and dogs look like each other.
Yes.
Which is scary when you think about it.
Me and Rusty have the same hair color right now. But as you know, that changes month to month, so that doesn't even matter.
Well, it makes me wonder who's influencing who here.
Sometimes it's Rusty. I'm like, that is a good color blonde on you. I like it. I'm going to do it. You're right. It would look good on me. You're absolutely right.
Well, they're definitely a great model to follow.
Mm-hmm.
They are unconditionally loving unless you do something highly traumatic to them. And even if you sometimes mistakenly do something that does cause them some trauma, they'll turn right back around and forget about it.
Well, it's okay. It's okay. You shot my paw off. It's fine.
Just don't do it again, right?
Yeah.
And my dog greets everyone. And he's happy to see everyone. Dog, cats, humans. He's happy. He loves little kids. He's very happy. He sleeps luxuriously, deeply. He wakes up rested and happy and ready to go. I think there's something I can learn here.
Yeah.
Right.
If for the longest time humans have thought that animals were beneath them, I think now they're beginning to realize, well, maybe we need to reevaluate that position.
No, it's the other way around. We don't deserve dogs. We don't.
It's so funny you should say that. I don't know why. I was scrolling through something on one of the Facebook feeds, and there was, some dog owner had left the dog on this bridge in the middle of nowhere that was freezing cold and icy. And that phrase, owner, I went, why do we own dogs? Own, right? That's a big word. It made me stop for a second and think, is that actually true? So it's funny that we're talking about it now because I just
Mhm.
kind of dismissed it as, yeah, you're being a little crazy. Just let it go.
No, I don't think you're being crazy. You're actually tapping into the way human law was created. It was created
Mhm.
based on the premise that humans are the highest animal form, and
Mhm.
that any lesser animal form is property of humans. That's where
Mhm.
that literally comes from.
And nature too is the same thing. Let's
Yeah.
uh, utilize our resources and that of those of Mother Earth
Hmm.
to our own advantage and
Hmm.
not paying attention to what's really occurring. Though I love to watch, Mother Earth will regenerate in a heartbeat.
Oh
Mhm.
yeah.
Move out of the way and everything grows back. Really cool. But yeah, the concept of ownership really. Hmm.
Well, I think that's a concept that in and of itself is going to be shifting, and I think it already is shifting, actually. I think we're in the
Mhm.
midst of a shift. I think it's been going on for about as long as the internet's been around, really. So about
Yeah.
30 years.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And we're going to see a lot more of it over the next 30, 50, 70, 100 years. It's just going to continue and continue until finally it's going to be a completely different definition from what it was 30 years ago, and
Oh,
quite different from the one we have right now.
Mhm. It's already begun because instead of owners and dogs, we're now there's what are they? Fur babies and puppy parents.
Yeah, right.
Grandpup.
Yep. Excellent
my
example.
mom used to
Mhm.
call it grand dog.
Yep.
Dog.
My mom calls Rusty her grandpup.
Right?
Mhm.
Well, it's funny because, I was out with my husband and largely I wasn't able to be on the trail as much because I have a large dog who was hot. When the
Mhm.
temperature
Oh,
was above 80, he's like, "Mm-mm, not doing it. I'm not putting my pack on and walking in this heat.
Mhm.
Coated in fur. I totally got it." So I was describing this to a friend of mine who doesn't own her own dog. She's not really a dog person. And she said to me, "Well, why don't you just rehome him?"
oh, geez,
Wow.
Williker. Wow.
And again, that's my was initial reaction was, "Oh," and I thought, "Okay, let's not bite her head off. That's an interesting perspective." But I
Mm.
wanted to
Mm.
say to her, who had small children herself, "Well, you should rehome your toddlers."
That's what I
Oh,
would have said.
she probably doesn't appreciate that one so much.
And I
Oh
basically
wow.
said to her, "He's part of our family.
Mhm.
Let's rehome him.
Yeah.
He is part of my family." Even
Mm-mm-mm.
that kinda struck her odd. She was kinda like, okay."
I had a friend who tried to talk me out of allowing Kenny's cat to move in. She was like, Kenny's my husband, and so she wanted to stay with me while she was on vacation or whatever, and she's
Uh,
allergic to cats, and she goes, "Well, aren't you allergic to cats? Why can't he get rid of his cat?" And I'm like, "For you to stay at my house? How would you feel if you met somebody and they said to be with me, you got to get rid of your dog or your child or whatever?"
I don't really
Like,
like your mother.
I
Makes
could never tell someone to get rid of their pet to be with me. So no. Long
no.
story short, that friend didn't stay over.
Is she still friends with you?
No, no, no,
Alex
no.
truly is the queen of personal
I
boundaries. Let me
love
tell
Yeah,
you,
that. I love
no.
she
that.
really is.
Doesn't take much to get off my list. It
You
doesn't take
you
much.
you cross a boundary with Alex, you do so at your own peril.
Hmm.
Are
Oh
you a
yes.
Scorpio?
Libra.
Oh, that's surprising.
I
No
know.
Scorpio presence, no?
I mean, I'm close. I'm close. I'm on the 17th, so I'm over there.
Mhm,
Hmm.
very close. Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool. I'm married to a Scorpio. That's how I know.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, sorry.
It's okay. I'll let him stay.
He's cute. I'll keep him.
I like him. Oh
Well,
my God.
plus those of us who do have animals in our lives, like this guy just climbed into my lap about a half hour ago, and
Hmm.
it was totally his idea. It wasn't my idea at all, but he rules,
Right.
so he was there. He, to the best of my knowledge, has been abandoned at least twice, possibly 3 times in his life.
Oh,
So the idea of a rehome, which is a polite way of saying abandon,
yeah.
is not even in the realm of possibility for him.
Right. That's
just
more
because
trauma.
just because I'm a feeling human, not regardless of the bond that I have with this guy, which I do have.
Right.
But I
Yeah.
mean, how heartless can you be to just keep abandoning a being that has been abandoned so many times?
Exactly.
That's the way I look at that.
Speaking of which, I read something really sad. I hate to bring the room down, but so I was reading about this vet that was talking about what puppy parents do when their dogs have to be put down, but they can't emotionally handle being in the room. They say the dogs are like looking for them, like that's the last thing they want to see before they go. So that's like, so they said you got to tough it out and be there for your animal.
Yeah.
I was like, oh man, that's so sad to know.
I know it is.
That's like you can see it in their eyes that they're looking for their puppy parent. I'm not going to say owner.
Yeah. No, my daughter and I had a very old miniature pinscher.
Mm.
And she was attending Cal Poly at the time with some of her courses in pre-vet work.
Mm-hmm.
And so we knew he was at the end. We knew he had 17 years old. He had diabetes. He was starting to lose track of his bowels. And yeah, it was not fun.
Yeah.
We knew he was at the end. So I sent him with her because I was living in Santa Barbara, about 2 hours away from her school. And it was very hard on me. And she was there, and they euthanized him in the class so that the students could participate and understand.
That's nice.
Yeah, she said it was really rough.
Yeah.
She was there, but I remember being really sad that I couldn't be there with him.
Yeah.
But it was her dog. I had bought it.
Yeah.
It was 5. So it was finally all turned out good, but it's rough. It's rough to say goodbye to our friends.
Yeah.
Yeah. Miss him. And since it's interesting, so again, I'm highly perceptive. Wasn't there when he passed on. I would feel or see him out of the corner of my eye.
Sure.
In familiar places. You go past where the food dish would be, and I'd see a shadow. Or, come home and you'd feel that energy still.
Yeah.
Even though he wasn't there anymore. And I was like, oh, okay. So they're around.
Yep.
In more ways than one. And it's interesting spending 6 months on the road. I had my dog as my companion. Husband I'd see him every 4 to 6 days.
Yeah.
Because he was on the trail. I have a very close bond, and I learned how to speak dog, you guys.
Yeah.
At least my dog, he has very strong tells. I would ask him a series of very simple questions, very simple structure of a sentence, like you would speak to a 3-year-old, and he would, yes. And if he was really interested, it would be a really hard, and it was like I started to know exactly what he needs. And even now, my husband's all, will you find out what the dog needs? You need to learn how to do this too.
You know what you need to get? I've been watching. I follow this dog on TikTok, and it's a poodle, but he can. He has this. Yeah, the thing with the thing. Yeah, they can speak. So it's like a system you set up on your floor, and they have different words, and then the dog hits the word to tell you what he needs.
Yes. Well,
so
beyond that, but I think it would be very entertaining for sure. Yeah. There's another one on TikTok. I think it's a mini husky, and their owners are naughty. They put the word in there, and the dog.
Yeah, I've seen that one.
It's so funny.
Oh my god, that was so funny. I think one time they wanted to go for a walk, but it was raining, and she was like, "It's raining," and he was like, "Bitch."
Okay.
I died so much. Oh my god.
Like I said, I could literally waste hours on Instagram just watching animals.
Period.
Whether it's a wild animal or.
Oh, don't get me stuck on pigs or otters. I'll be there all day.
Pigs and otters, okay.
Pigs and otters. Walt, I want a pig so bad. You don't even understand. I need a pig. Like, I've ingrained it in Kenny's brain. The next pet we get has to be a pig.
You know what happens when you have a pig, right?
What?
It grows.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, really, really big.
But only to the size of their environment. Those little potbelly ones, are they still kind of the smaller variety?
They're smaller, but like it depends on how much you feed them and their environment. Like any pet. But they're smart. They can be smart as a 4-year-old. I want to name mine Piggy Smalls. I'm so excited for this thing I don't have.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I got the name picked out.
I love it. That and my daughter, like I said, ranch land. She's out on that. She wants one of those little mini cows.
Oh my God, they're so cute.
Oh my God, they're so
I'm not doing cow poop, but they are so cute.
It has many uses.
It does, but I'm not smelling it, so no.
Personally, I'm less fond of horse poop. It smells. Oh,
I'm just not a fan of any poop. Period.
Like it at all.
See, this is why I like cats. They just take care of themselves. I don't have to worry about it.
You still got a litter box.
Yeah. Who cleans the litter box?
Well,
not me.
I do clean the litter box, but he goes outside so often I don't have to do it very much.
That's true. That my outdoor cat is great with that.
Yeah. I mean, maybe like once a week.
Yeah.
Maybe?
Yeah.
I love the videos where they've taught the cat how to use the potty.
We're working on that for the kitten. We're working on that.
Paul's laughing.
It's so easy to teach them. It's the flushing that's the problem.
Oh, yeah. That would be odd if you got up in the middle of the night and you're like, oh, what's
sorry. Should have knocked, my bad.
Oh, we digress.
All right, who left the seat up?
Who left the seat up? It was Whispers.
Oh my gosh.
I was just remembering one of the reasons I loved having you on the show last time, Stacie. You have a wonderful laugh. It gets you going. I mean, this is wonderful. Laugh therapy.
Yeah. Sam says, I saw a pig on someone's front lawn a few years ago. They were quite large. Piggy Small is a great name.
Right? Thank you, Samuel. Either Piggy Smalls or Hamlet. One or the other.
Hamlet. I like that too. Very clever.
Oh my goodness.
Funny story about my laugh. Yes, it is unique. Yes, I use it often.
Very well too.
So I was in like a drugstore, CVS or Rite Aid or something like that, shopping. Bumped into one friend and I started chatting with her. Of course, we got to laughing. And I'm just standing at the end of an aisle. And all of a sudden, I corner my eye, I see this person jet into the same lane or same aisle at the opposite end and look and go, I knew that was you. That was another friend.
It's nice to be recognized by your laugh.
Yeah. If it's not that,
anything else, that'd be great.
Yeah, exactly.
That's me sometimes. Oh my God, don't let it get too serious. I will snort so fast.
Again, here we keep referring back to the Instagram fun, but I guess some French show. Have you seen that clip where they had invited all these people with very unique and different laughs on?
No.
Oh my goodness. There's one lady. Oh my God. They're all doing their different laughs, and I just cry. If you're having a bad day,
makes the other person laugh harder than it's.
So if you're having a bad day, bookmark that. So next time you pull it up.
It's an interesting take on laughter yoga because, I mean, laughter yoga, you just kind of force yourself to get laughing. In this case, you don't have to force yourself. You just watch a bunch of other people laugh and it makes you laugh.
Yeah.
Wasn't there like a Coke or a Pepsi commercial where they had the guy on the subway and he just started laughing at whatever was on his phone and people around him?
Think so, yeah.
Yeah, it's contagious. Almost as contagious as a yawn.
Right.
But it's a better kind of contagion because it's a contagion of joy.
Yes. Yeah, that's why I've never held back. There was a point in time in my spiritual development where the individuals who were mentoring me approached me and said, "We're concerned that you laugh so much." And I was like, okay.
Wow.
Is there something that you're hiding?
Yeah, my good to you.
Were you?
Nope.
Okay. Well, that answers that one.
Yeah.
Okay. You're trying to find something wrong with me? I got that. That's your job, but I'm A-okay.
Yeah, there's something about there's a law of attraction side to that. Like, are you sure you want to keep looking for that?
Right. Right.
Like, really?
Like, why are you trying to create a problem where there isn't one?
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, it's one thing to identify something that's actually there, but why do you need to invent one?
Right.
I think it goes back to that same thing that we've talked about in Taya as well. You raise your vibration to a certain level. That's your default vibration. You're always there, maybe dip down a little, up and down, just a little bit, right? But at that vibration, you're either repelling or attracting people based on their vibration. So if my vibration was high at the time and their vibration was just a little bit lower, I could see how my higher vibration, my laughter, would irritate them.
Yeah.
Therefore, they needed to find something wrong with me in order to bring me down.
Right.
In vibration. And it literally lasted for about 5 minutes. I sat there and thought about it, and I was like, what the fuck? No, there's nothing wrong with you.
Right?
Very good. I like that response.
I like to laugh.
And it isn't so much that we repel them, it's that they refuse to attract. I mean, we live in an attraction-based universe.
Yes.
So if they're not around, it isn't you didn't repel them. They refuse to attract what you're putting out. They refuse to attract your vibration.
They weren't picking up what she was putting down. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. Yeah.
You know the street lingo better than I do, but that's the concept. Yeah.
Yeah. Like energy attracts like.
It does.
I'm sure there are scenarios like I remember one Christmas being out with a bunch of girlfriends. We'd had quite a few glasses of wine, and we were exchanging white elephant gifts. There was a gentleman who was older with his wife who was so mad at us and literally screamed at us in the restaurant because
we were having a good time
and having fun. Granted, we were a little loud because we were drinking, but we were having it was hilarious, some of the gifts that people were pulling up.
Yeah.
That really showed, everybody was like, oh, and I said, no. That's where his vibration is.
Exactly.
Yeah. They can choose to leave. We were a much larger group of people. I'm sure the restaurant wasn't interested in kicking us out because we were going to continue to order drinks and food, and he and his wife, and I actually had compassion and empathy for him. And I thought, oh, that's sad.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go home.
You had a quiet night, stay home.
Yeah. But again, you have the power to choose your perception, your perspective of where that other person is vibratorily, whether you want to be attracted into it or not.
Yeah.
Right.
It's just like scrolling past something you don't like on the internet. Scroll by.
Yep. Keep it moving.
I actually saw, I guess you call it a meme lately. Well, it didn't really have a photo attached to it, so is that really a meme? Maybe, I don't know. But it was a thing being passed around, and in this thing, it was a note that supposedly was actually written by a neighbor of the person who shared the note. And I don't remember the exact wording, but the gist of it was, please keep your happy child inside the house for less than 15 minutes a day because he's disturbing my dogs.
Wow.
If you don't, I'm going to call the police. That was the last line.
Wow.
Threatened to call the police because the child was too happy.
Wow.
Way to kill the joy.
No kidding. Harsh my high or what?
And for a kid too, that's terrible.
Well, it's also an interesting form of attracting stuff. I mean, that person clearly really had no idea what the law of attraction was. But even if they had understood what it was, what were they trying to attract? What was this ideal that they were aiming for? Well, the ideal was one where the only beings who get to enjoy the world are their dogs. Okay. Well,
and their peace of mind. Keep it quiet.
But what does that say about their peace of mind?
Yeah, that's
their peace of mind is completely dependent upon the neighbor's child being indoors all but 15 minutes out of the day. And 15 minutes was actually probably too much.
That's really interesting what you just said, though.
Yeah.
Is your joy dependent on external circumstances?
Exactly.
Oh, we could do a whole nother hour on that one alone.
kind of too bad we don't have another hour, because that'd be fun.
Right.
But it's true. I mean, if you allow external polarity
Yeah.
that will constantly exist, it's never going to go away as long as you're standing here in this physical body, dictate your happiness. Ooh, you're in for a really rough ride.
Yeah, you got some work to do.
That's why I love your boundaries. That's spectacular.
Thank you.
More. It's so needed.
My message for the neighbor is hang on to the guardrail.
Bumpy.
Oh my God. And you got to be careful what you wish for, because it's like you could be like, oh, well, keep your child inside. It's disturbing my dog. And then next thing you know, your dog died because it was being disturbed. That's what you manifested. Don't do that.
Yeah, that's very possible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because it's also a challenge that you have to actually accept responsibility for what you're manifesting. That's a big thing.
That too.
That's a whole.
That's a hard pill to swallow.
So that's the third
a whole other hour there too.
Yeah.
We're condensing a 3-hour program into 1 hour.
Into a week's worth of episodes. That's what we're doing.
That's right.
There you go. Right. I'll come back later.
Okay.
Yeah, actually, I was talking about Taya and the practice and kind of the basis of it, and that's the foundation of it right there.
Mm-hmm. Right.
You have to, in order to really harness the power that you have to allow abundance in your life, to manifest spectacular things, to learn how to deal with polarity, you got to know that it's you.
Mm-hmm.
No one else but you that is creating what's showing up in your life now. Your vibration is first and foremost. Whatever's showing up is just a byproduct of where you are vibrationally.
Yeah, it's kind of it pisses you off when you first realize that, because what that really is owning your own crap to the nth degree.
Yeah.
You can't, like, there's no getting away from it anymore.
Yeah.
Yep.
Owning it and loving it.
And loving it. Yeah.
And loving it, finding joy in your obstacles that you created because you want to expand more, Walt.
And I'm proving it.
Yeah.
I've been proving it lately. I've been doing massive expansion lately. You know, like, when's the rest of you gonna catch up? Come on.
I love it. That's awesome.
Oh my gosh.
Well, Alex has actually been 5 years ahead of me, but that's another story.
Yeah, and it's so fascinating to me to watch everybody express themselves differently in what they choose to manifest in their lives.
Yeah, right.
To expand. Whether it's the loss of a relationship, a loss, some health issue, poverty. We were tossing around the idea of, is manifesting really a privilege of people who have more money, who have the basic privileges of being white, of, being of a certain class of income, education. No, it doesn't. But it's interesting to think that, a lot of Instagram, social media folks, that influencers that post, are showing these grand things. Oh, I got my Mercedes. Well, you already got the $3 million house behind you. How hard is it? Or so it's interesting that I think that I love your cat shows it beautifully. Sorry.
In space.
Cats in space.
Oh my God. Squirrel. I'm so distracted. But that's something to think about too. What is there a belief that's not serving you, perhaps connected to that privilege idea? Only the privileged have abundance. Only the privileged have manifestation. Yes, I agree that it's super hard to think about managing, manifesting and abundance when you're struggling for your survival needs. A roof over your head, for food, for gas in your car. I get that. But it's all about perspective, right?
And I've been there. I've done that. And just recently I had to do that with the loss of, you mentioned relationship. I lost my relationship and I had to own up to, I attracted it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it actually didn't take me long because I learned all this stuff and so forth, but I still had to do it. And it was one of those feelings of, oh yeah, I guess I did, because I certainly had no intention of ending the marriage. That was like the last thing on my mind. But I thought about other things that I was trying to manifest, and many of them were things I didn't know how to make them happen. And the universe figured out, well, the quickest way to do it is to end the marriage. Like, oh, why didn't I think of that? Yeah.
Universe always has your back.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting too. I mean, in every like sarcastic joke, offhanded comment that people make, if they're a little snide, if they're a little snickery, if they're, there is actually a line of truth underneath it. So in your example, like, what was the line of truth underneath it all for you?
There were a few of them, actually. It wasn't just one. I mean, we like to think it's going to be just one, but I think there are like 4. Yeah. And there were 4 that I would have thought were not necessarily connected. Oops. Apparently they were more connected than I realized.
Everything's connected.
But it isn't interesting, just that little line of discontent in whatever format that it took in your life was enough to shift your vibration radically to blow up that scenario.
And I can also realize that in at least 2 of those cases, 2 of those situations, things I was trying to attract, I think I actually knew on a certain level that the way to end that situation and get where I wanted to get to would be to end the marriage. But what I turned it into my mind was, well, we just need the marriage to evolve into the next thing. And that was really going on in my head. That because I mean, I was committed to the marriage. I was committed to whatever it was going to take to keep the thing going. And the universe said, yeah.
Nah.
Well, and your wife had her own power.
She did.
Her own power to create whatever she wanted, and whether or not she was jiving with your vibe or not.
And she made that clear because she's the one who initiated it.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Super, super interesting.
Yeah. Especially after you've gone through it.
Oh, that's
hindsight in 2020. What it is.
I mean, it took me 2 months before I could even talk about it on the podcast. It was just too raw. When you're going through it, you're going through it.
Right.
Doesn't matter what you're learning from it. You're still going through it.
Yeah. Distance and time, they're a blessing because they do allow us to have a zoomed out perspective of what happened and to regroup from a higher perspective and not be like, I never make any big decisions when I'm down the spiral.
Right. That's important.
I actually tried to and paid for it.
Walt.
I did.
I did.
Well, no, it was okay. It was all good because it was the right direction, just the wrong timing. I was instantly devoted to rebuilding my life. And one of my first things to do was to get out and start doing something I hadn't been doing in 20 years, and that was to go dancing. And I went to a dance and got COVID.
Oh, shoot.
Now, I have gone the entire pandemic. I know I've been exposed to it at other times. Never got it. I know that I checked with other people who were at that particular dance. As far as I can tell, I'm the only one who actually got sick. Everybody else is unmasked. I'm the one who gets sick. Why? Because I'm in a vibrational state due to my wife leaving me. Well, what a shock. Who'd have predicted that one, right?
Yeah, but like you were saying, you weren't at your highest vibratory level.
Yeah.
So down a little where that COVID
I was trying to fake it till I made it. And I did, just not the way I had in mind.
Yeah, it's interesting. I like that. Fake it until you make it. Sometimes that works really well. But if you don't clean up the past, if you don't allow yourself,
depends on how much residual vibration there is.
Yeah, exactly. You just it's not really possible to go up and create a new default vibration.
There was a little bit too much at that point.
You're super saturated.
But there was also a positive that came out of it.
Yeah.
It was really big. It was that the day that I tested positive, my now ex was there because she was packing things up, and she volunteered to stay the night to take care of me because I was so sick.
Oh, that's sweet.
That's nice.
I mean, after that kind of a situation, to have that result, that's huge. Now, I sent her right home because there was no way I wanted her to get sick.
Right.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, that was one heck of a gesture, considering all that had been going on just 2.5 weeks earlier.
And they're, you don't just fall out of love with somebody and never love them again, or won't love them ever again. You just, it's.
No, I still care about her just about as much as I did before. It's just that, like Alex, I've set a boundary. Like, no, you don't get to do that anymore. Sorry.
No.
Yeah. That's good.
Can't do 1 foot in and 1 foot out. Can't do it.
Doesn't work.
You can't row a boat that way, anyways.
No,
not unless you like to go in circles. Well, if you know how to walk on water, I suppose. But yeah,
I've not learned that one yet. Teach me.
Takes a little time, I think. Yeah. Hey, Stacie, this has been a fun visit. Thank you so much for sitting in for David today. I mean, we're looking forward to the next time David will be able to join us, but this has been great. I'm glad we've been able to catch up with you.
Great to catch up with you. Great to meet you, Alex.
Great to meet you too.
Yeah.
And thank you, live streamers. Thank you, podcast listeners everywhere. We'll see you all next time here on LOA Today. Goodbye, everybody.